What's going on, everybody? It's Coach Greg Adams.
New world order.
Back in here with another YouTube live stream. Shout out to the Coach Gang.
And that's you.
For being in here, being involved, and being active on this YouTube channel. And we're back on the Coach Greg Adams channel. Celebratory return to the Coach Greg Adams channel, the flagship channel. Appreciate y'all for being here. We're going to depart from the regular type content, if you will, and give you a little bit of a different spin, celebrating the Coach Greg Adams channel.
New world order.
All right, taking it back, and we're doing it live. We're celebrating the evening show return since summer is over. It's been a cruel summer. All right, and we're back on the Coach Greg Adams channel. So look, man, it's a fantastic time to be here. The evening is back, not every day. But I want to do some crime and law on the Coach Greg Adams channel. Crime and law shit on the Coach Greg Adams channel. And I figure this is a good time to study a case of the JODI ARIAS case where somebody met the Undertaker in a simple casual sex relationship. All right, so we'll talk about some talking point stuff that I normally talk about. But today, it's going to be a chill moment. We're only going to do one topic. We're not going to jump from topic to topic. We're just going to study this case and take home some points and for men and women that are dealing with relationships. It's not going to be all red pill. It's not going to be all the women did bad and the man did good and the man was the victim and the woman was the crazy. All right, but in this situation, the woman was the crazy. The woman definitely was the crazy in this case. So, but we'll do some crime and law in which, in many of these cases, the man will be the cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right, it'll be okay. So there's not going to be too much of let's victimize the men and let's demonize the woman in this case, in these cases, but we're just going to take some spin on Crime and Law CGA and we're going to make it fun for the evening show. We're going to make it fun for the evening show. So do me a favor, hit the like button. And if you want to contribute to today's show, it is $ the Notorious CGA on the Cash App, Venmo, Coach Greg Adams TV, PayPal. It's PayPal.me/Coach Greg Adams, and that is near the top of the description box on the Free Agent Lifestyle channel. And you can super chat by clicking the link on the top of the live chat on the Coach Greg Adams channel. All right, some of you guys may not have known that this channel existed because, yes, it's demonetized too. All right, so it's demonetized, but either way, I think we're going to have a fun time looking at these cases and giving you some information on how to vet if you're in the dating marketplace, because yes, there are people dating. This could be an easy case where it could be either one of us in this situation. So we'll talk about that. But first, what we want to do is introduce you to the people in this case. All right. So we're going to jump into that right now. Introduce you to the people in the case. And we have two individuals. We have JODI ARIAS and Travis Alexander. Let's listen to this video.
I know that I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent.
Did you kill Travis Alexander?
I absolutely did not kill Travis Alexander. I had nothing to do with his murder. I didn't harm him in any way.
JODI ARIAS and Travis Alexander's relationship began with passion, but quickly turned dark. By June 2008, their love story took a shocking twist. Travis was found brutally murdered in his home, stabbed 27 times, with his throat cut and a gunshot wound to the head. All the evidence pointed to JODI, who first denied everything, then claimed self-defense. As the investigation went on, disturbing photos surfaced, showing moments before and after the murder.
Before you dropped the camera, what were the last words Travis said to you?
The trial became a huge media event, capturing the nation's attention. In 2013, JODI was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Her story remains one of the most shocking and unforgettable cases in recent history.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, the JODI ARIAS case. So welcome to Gen Z. You might not have heard of these two people, but this is simple. When men and women, they get involved with each other romantically, Chris Rock once said, you're dating their representative. Most of the time for 6 months and 1 day, you really don't know who this person is. Now, I'm starting a detective service in which vetting is going to be mightily important on why you should vet when you date. Because what people are telling you of themselves, they're not telling you who they really are. Sometimes they'll give you context clues, and sometimes you trust their story when they give you a context clue. They may say, yeah, I had a case. I got arrested. There was a mistaken identity. They had it all messed up. They trumped up the charges. The case was dismissed. And all of that. And sometimes you'll be like, well, they told me the story. They were forthcoming with the information. They said they had a DUI. No big deal. I understand, until you do a deep dive and vet. But most people don't do a deep dive and vet, and they ignore the red flags. So we're going to do a lesson on vetting today. But before we do that, we're going to take you to another intro real quick. I got to go handle some business, but we'll take you to another intro. We'll get back to the show.
Vibe blowing at the J, got the loud jumping at the pay. Everything I'm on slay. Everything I do is got the band jumping at the bay. Vibe blowing at my J, got the loud jumping at the pay. Everything I'm on slay.
We've been with the Brazilians. This would be the first.
They wild, I think.
I'm innocent.
Bro, you hear that guy? All right, Crime and Law CGA is back. Shout out to y'all, man. Hit the like button. Any of you guys in dating relationships, when you're dating, sometimes you take the first thing that a person tells you and you believe that as the truth. Even as men, we do lie about who we are. We don't fully represent ourselves. And, you know, who's to expect that a person will fully represent themselves and tell you their flaws or their bad life experiences up front? Most people don't want to do that because they do have a fear of losing the person. Obviously, these things are something that people might learn as the relationship develops, gets a little bit closer, but sometimes you might not find out at all unless you do a deep dive. So we're going to talk about this. You're meeting their representative. You're not meeting the actual person, and why it is important that you must do your due diligence before you jump into bed romantically. Now, in this case, the brother named Travis Alexander that lost his life jumped right in the bed and had a casual sexual relationship. Okay, so now this isn't about the junior college. This isn't about regular dating. This could be a simple hookup in which Travis was looking at the relationship as a hookup, whereas JODI was looking at the relationship as this is my ticket out. Now, and the reason why is the video, there's going to be another video that explains this. JODI was looking to level up out of the situation she was in. She was in a middle to low income lifestyle in Mesa, Arizona. Travis was from a family-oriented white culture, family culture. And so she saw Travis as a way out of her situation, of her problems, a way out of her past. She came from unstable household to stable family. She saw Travis as that. Now, I don't know what the romantic relationship was like, but JODI kept offering herself up sexually. So in this situation here, a woman offering themselves up sexually, coming back to haunt you, you thought it was free. Now you got to pay. And sometimes you're paying with your life. How lust can lead to death. So let's break down the story even further. We'll talk about some vetting details as the show goes on. But first, vetting detail. Never trust the person that you get information from initially. So whoever the person you're dealing with romantically, whatever they're telling you about yourself, you don't believe it, okay? Don't believe it. Because if you believe this, what you'll find is that you're gonna be left without information. All right, they're gonna give you maybe some clues. Maybe the clues won't come all together. Maybe you have to piece the story together like a puzzle. But within that, they may even say, well, you can believe me, you can trust me. I'm a person that is, I'm a good person. And that's what people want to make people believe. Now, we've all been in relationships where we thought the person was a good person. And then later on, they revealed themselves to maybe not have the best experience with them, and then only to put the pieces together after the fact. Let me put the pieces together after the fact. Oh, yeah, I did get a context clue. They did say they had some mental health issues. They did say they had a drunk driving case. They did say they lost custody of their kid. Like, you start putting the pieces together, and you go, damn, I should have seen that. That was more red flags than a Chinese Communist parade. All right, I should have seen that coming. But you didn't look at it. You didn't abandon ship. You didn't abort mission. Most importantly, you did not call them out on some of these issues, right? You didn't call them out. So you saw the bullshit, but you said, nah, all right, I'm not going to call them out. I'm going to wait till I get further information. Okay. But most relationships that went bad, we can willingly say there were details and red flags that we actually overlooked. Sometimes a person close to you will tell you that there's a red flag. Hey, man, you might want to look at this. Or sometimes they may keep the information, the cards to their chest. I knew something was wrong with them, but they never really told you, or they tried to give you some clues. Sometimes when you're in love or you're, feeling good and erotic, you're blinded by your lust. You're blinded by your heart. Love is blind. So in this situation, you're going to see Tony in this case, or Travis in this case, was blinded by lust. All right. He was getting free access to punani. All right. And the woman was delivering it. If you see the woman, she looked like she got some crazy punani, so there's that. Then you had JODI, who had an ulterior motive. What she was doing is trying to backdoor a relationship with him. All right. So she was trying to encroach him. She was love bombing him with sex. She knew that was his weakness. So she kept giving it to him and giving him the best that she got. And then that allowed her to lower the boom a little bit later. So if you missed the intro, go ahead and watch the intro of who these two people are and why you need to watch out and vet really, really hard when you're dealing with any type of relationship. All right. I don't care if you're dealing with a regular girl, a normie girl, a good girl, a skeezer, right? A 304, a stripper, all right, a church girl, a junior college girl. All right. It doesn't really matter what type of woman you're dealing with. Vetting is going to be of the utmost priority. Certainly when you have more to lose than they do. So you have a wealth discrepancy, a status discrepancy, a power discrepancy. We see this in child support cases with professional athletes. They have more to lose than they do have to gain from these relationships. They are giving easy access by the woman. Once he delivers the seed to the woman, now the red flags are apparent. Zion Williamson and Mariah Mills. You see Anthony Edwards and this other woman he's dealing with. All right. You see it now. Now their red flags are waving. Brittany Renner and PJ Washington. You see the red flags all of a sudden, right? He sees it because there's clarity. So let's play this video. It's called The Wrath of JODI. We're going to use several people's videos here. The video we're going to use is by a channel called JCS Criminal Psychology. They're going to break down the early parts of the relationship and some key points and some red flags that people might have missed here. So let's see that, and then we'll talk about some other vetting things that you can get to. All right, do me a favor, hit the like button. Hit the like button. We got JODI ARIAS here, The Wrath of JODI.
In the 11th grade to pursue a career in photography, but it went nowhere. In February of 2006, at 26 years of age, she began a new job as a salesperson for a network marketing company called Prepaid Legal. And it was through this occupation where she crossed paths with fellow sales representative Travis Alexander, a 28-year-old practicing Mormon from Arizona, who also worked part-time as a motivational speaker.
When you get someone to the briefing, they say no, that counts. When you get someone fully exposed and they say no, that counts. Every time you get one of those, Cross one off the list. By the time the 100th one's crossed off the list, you won't be able to spend the money.
He was a very charismatic young man, which immediately caught JODI's attention. They met at a business conference in September of 2006 and began a curious relationship from that point forward. To cut a long story short, JODI was in love, and Travis was not. They broke up after just 5 months, but soon after the split, JODI moved from her grandparents' home in Yreka, California, into an apartment just 2 blocks from Travis's house in Mesa, Arizona.
All right, so we'll stop it right here. I'll have to interject for fair use purposes in this case for this particular video and fair use to JCS criminal psychology. So what do we see here? We see a guy that we see a woman that is in multi-level marketing. All right, when you see a woman that is in multi-level marketing, you can almost guarantee, especially if she's in her 20s, she has no direction. All right, she's lost in the sauce. She's grasping at straws. She's trying to figure things out. Shout out to people that are in some multi-level marketing, schemes. Prepaid legal is, I know all about this particular service. All right. And it's basically people that walk around and say you can pay $20 a month for a lawyer. And if anything's happened, this lawyer will represent you. All right. Yeah, this is some, all right. I wouldn't use that lawyer service at all, but shout out to people who use it. And what happens is these people are looking for ways to make money. Most of the time, they don't turn over any deals, and they attend a lot of network meetings and motivational meetings. They don't do many deals. All right. And so these people are trying to not work and do a 9-to-5. They're trying to kind of leverage their beauty or their talent or their charisma to engage in some sort of employment. So that's what JODI's engaged in. And what he's engaged in is probably some BNI networking places where he can speak and encourage certain people in entrepreneurship to engage and, give them some confidence in sales and motivation. So you've seen that there. And he seems to be a little more established in this situation here, even though he has the suit with the 3-button, the Steve Harvey joint. I got a couple of those. All right, I got a couple of those suits still today. I don't know how well they fit, but I got a couple of those 3-button suits. All right, Steve Harvey suits. And then you have him also engaging in a relationship, which he's engaging in some access to free sex, right? In which we say free women cost the most. He knows that she's looking for a relationship. He wants to keep it casual. We've all been there. I've been there many, many, many times. And sometimes you get that funny feeling that you're tempting fate, right? You're getting the guts, you're hitting it raw, you're hitting that bottom, all right? You're nutting in her and you just hoping she don't get pregnant. So, and also she's using him for the services, right? So there's a lot going on there, and he definitely, looking at the body language here, he doesn't want a relationship with her. She seems to be a Latina, all right? And I may be mistaken there. She has Latina, features there. But she also is unstable. Okay, so she also not only is employment unstable, she's living unstable. And this is going to be a vetting red flag. When you're dealing with women, I don't care what age you're dealing with, when they are not living stably, and not women, just men in general, when they don't have a stable residence, that's going to be a red flag for you right there. Okay, especially now, depending on where your background is, right? That's going to be a red flag. So here she is living with her grandmother. Okay, that's a red flag. Same as you got a woman that lives with her mother. Red flag. All right, even if she's like 20, 30, you live with your mom, this is a red flag. That means there's something going on in her background, possibly legal, maybe credit-wise, maybe that she's experiencing an eviction. She can't get an apartment, right? Something's going on. Maybe the mom's unstable, right? The mom's unstable health-wise. So something's going on with her living situation there where eventually she's going to want to make a move. So one of the vetting moves you can see is that if you have this woman wanting to get into a relationship quickly, it may not be love. It may be love or lust or her willingness to want to be with the guy who is somewhat more stable than her, but she wants to get out of her living situation, right? She lives with her parents. She lives with her grandparents. She lives with her aunt, her abuela, her cousin, her sister, her play cousin, right? Whoever it is, her boyfriend. Okay. So that's where he is making the mistake here. And we all make mistakes. We're not going to be completely critical, but he made the mistake of not recognizing this red flag. All right. And I've seen this red flag of many ways, right? The lease is going to run out. and she's pushing a relationship. Why? Because she knows in 5 to 6 months that lease is going to run out, or she might be behind in her rent, right? And she's facing that eviction. So let's get the relationship going. Now, that is a vetting process that you guys have to make and actually look at that before you get naked with her and hit it raw. Now, if you do this after you hit it raw and you get them nuts, it's going to be hard for you to pull the plug there. And this is why we have to make men understand, be cautious about this one. A woman will give you access to her if you are getting, if she is in a need to improve her living situation. Okay. Now, one more thing is sometimes you don't realize that if you have a better living situation, depending on what that means between, you're a college guy, then, you have your own apartment instead of the dorms. Okay. Or you have your own apartment, right? Or you have a house instead of an apartment. Okay. And she doesn't want to go back home to her roommates, or you have a large house and she just lives in a small dwelling, a studio. Sometimes she's going on a vacation when she comes to your house. It feels like a vacation. So she's like, I got a quietness. I don't have roommates. I don't have loud neighbors. I have space. The bedroom's bigger than my studio apartment. This also is in the case of men, homosexuals. So this is a vacation to me. This feels like going to the Hilton. So that's where she's experiencing right now. And she's also going to experience nesting, right? This kitchen is the biggest kitchen I ever have. I have that happen to me where women come over to my house and the kitchen is like, wow. She's like, I could do so much in here. Nesting. All right. She can think about how much meals she can cook and how much cooking equipment you have and how soft your bed is and how quiet it is to wake up next to you, even though you're snoring. Okay. She doesn't have to deal with her sister's kids knocking at the door, waking up. She doesn't have to deal with her cousin Hector's rooster going cock-a-doodle-doo at 5 a.m. So it's a vacation for her. It's a depart, like the bed. She's not sleeping in a pull-out Murphy bed or a sofa bed. She's sleeping on, right, a California king. Okay. And it's a vacation for her. She's sitting in the backyard, you know what I mean, smoking her vape. So this is much what's going on. And if she's experiencing, in this case, nesting, instability, then what'll happen is she'll want to push a relationship forward. She'll want to. This is good here. I love it here. I want to be here. You'll hear her talk about that. Now, with that being said here, you're going to hear something later on in this show that's going to be eye-opening. Just because she's doing this with you doesn't mean you're the only man in the picture. Uh-oh. Just because she's doing this with you and telling you with this and feeling you like this doesn't mean you're the only man in the picture. And you're going to see this play out. This woman's supposedly so in love with Travis, so much so that she allegedly deleted him. But he ain't the only man in the picture. So let's get back to this part of the story right here, man. This is a good episode. Let's go. Hit the like button.
She was at that moment labeled the crazy stalker ex by all of Travis's friends, and although Travis agreed, he would continue having sex with her out of pure convenience. She would show up unannounced on countless occasions, sometimes in the middle of the night, and Travis would let her in every time. It became somewhat of a routine, and a dysfunctional situation that neither were happy with. Travis, although he enjoyed the sex, essentially wanted her out of his life, while JODI desperately wanted a serious relationship. And going off the myriad of entries in her diary, she firmly held on to the belief that they were meant to be together.
All right, so let's stop it right here. She's obviously into witch or witchcraft or something like that. She's into photography, obviously. That's going to be an important factor later on. But as you can see here, he's blinded by the free sex. Okay, so look, he's getting free sex. She's dropping it off to him. She's sucking him off. It probably is great sex. Just looking at her right now, I'm sure it's great. All right. She's flipping her hair all over the place. Her natural hair is not blonde. All right. It's dark. You'll see this later, but she's dyed her hair blonde, you know what I mean, for whatever reasons. But she's dropping it off. His friends are telling him she's the crazy stalker. She probably knows his location. Well, you know, in this time they didn't have locations. She probably pops up in places where he's known to frequent. She probably knows his schedule. Have you been here? This is another red flag in the vetting thing. A woman will get details about you but men won't get details about them. They'll ask you what your middle name is, what your middle initial is, what your last name is. If you're a junior, or senior, the third, all right, who are you named after? Where did you grow up? What street did you grow up on? What city were you born? All right, they'll get all these informations. What's your astrological sign? What's your birth date? What year were you born? What high school did you go to? What year did you graduate? They'll get all of these details, including what is your routine? When do you work? When do you have custody of your kids? When do you go to class? When do you end work? Okay, so then what happens is that allows them to pop up. They also know that you should be available at that time. So if you're not available to them, they know possibly that you're making yourself available to someone else. Now, for men, we typically don't vet this way. We might be sleep with a woman and may not know her last name for the entire of the relationship. You might even not know her real first name. All right. She might be texting you from a Google Plus phone, all right, a Google number, and you don't even have her real number. You don't know when she was born. You don't know anything to identify her with. You don't know who she lives with, where she lives. We are absent of this information. We typically don't want to press, or we're not concerned because, hey, what's the use? We're all getting the guts. So I'm examining her effects. Okay. And you typically are going to overlook red flags by not gathering information. All right. We'll talk about that part later on. Why you want to get these details. You want to get a copy of the driver's license. You know, we'll tell you how to get these things. You want to find out their address and who they live. All right. All right. So you want to get those real names right here. You get those real names, you're going to get those real informations out, and then it'll be eye-opening. Also, you also might want to hear who she's talking about in terms of relatives. All right, because she'll give you indications of who her brothers are, who her sisters are. Then what'll happen is if you see her phone, there are going to be people texting her. Then if there's people texting her, then you'll look and go, wow, all right, it's her brother, it's her cousin. You're going to see that. And then when you put information together, you're going to be able to track relatives. So you want to do this because women are good at doing this. That's why they end up being better stalkers, and they end up doing better investigation on you. Okay, everybody got that? But men, we avoid this because we don't want to mess up the routine sex. As they said, it was a routine. Okay, it was routine, it was dependable, it was deliverable. No matter what time of day, she would drop off that nookie. Okay, what do we got here? Let's get into the story here. Let's put this up here, right there. Here we go.
In late May of 2008, however, she would ultimately have a change of heart. Travis had a work retreat planned to Cancun, Mexico for July 10th. It was all paid for by his employer and allowed him to take a friend with him. JODI knew about this and believed, or at the very least hoped, that she would be the one going. Yet in the last week of May, it became known that Travis was taking another woman instead, a Mormon girl by the name of Mimi Hall, someone that Travis had been romantically interested in for some time. When JODI found out, it would be safe to assume that she was heartbroken. It would be even safer to assume that she was absolutely enraged, and the collective opinion is that a specific thought process began to emerge in her mind, one that forged a psychological justification for a certain decision. On June 4th...
Let me stop right there. All right, so this proves my point here about how women collect information. Sometimes you'll drop information, maybe to kind of throw her off the scent. All right, I'm going to be out of town. All right, now she's going to mark that calendar. All right, you would be amazed at how strong it is for women to handle these details. Okay, so they will get these details. They will mark their calendar. They'll hear you. What time do you get back on Sunday? When do you leave? Right? There's a couple of reasons why she's doing that. First, she wants to set up her cheating schedule. Right? She wants to make sure you're clear out of town when she goes to see guy number 2, 3, and 4. All right, so you're clear out of town. You ain't going to be here, so I can get my calendar together with my other dates, all right, on the calendar. That's number one. Number two, she wants to see if you're going to bring her, right? Okay, you're going to Cancun, all right? You didn't ask me to go to Cancun. Who are you going to Cancun with? She might ask you, all right, are you going by yourself, your friends, solo travel? You're bringing somebody? I'm bringing a friend. You know, I'm meeting this a conference. Don't worry about it. I'm talking. Okay. So yeah, now she's knowing that this happens to me even at the JUCO. Well, girls will be like, okay, you going on another trip. How come you ain't taking me? All right, when are you coming back? When are you going? And inevitably, if you have a relationship developing even over at the JUCO, you will see that these girls, then that's when they start seeing their other guys. All right. So in my experience at the JUCO, they start seeing their other guys. All right. So that's when they start doing their other stuff, whatever the way they do it, however they do it, they start to see their other guys. All right. Where it's, they may spend the weekend leading up to me leaving with me. All right. But then as soon as I'm on the plane, they start with their other guys. All right. That's typically what's going to happen in my experience, even before the JUCO. That's typically what's going to happen. Okay. You ain't going to take me. We know you're going to be boning over there. So I'm going to start seeing my other guy. All right, I'm going to start planning other dates and outings and nightclub trips and shit like this, day parties. So this is how women do very well at gathering info and intelligence. Men typically are sloppy at giving the details. Okay, if you're dealing with somebody that might burglarize your house, right, you gave them the details and when you're gone. So now they might burglarize your house, right? You ain't gonna be there, all right? And sometimes they may leave stuff at your house, and then you leave, and then they say, I gotta pick up something from your house. Oh, the key's under the mat. Okay, the key's under the mat. You telling them too much information. All right, so not only does it have to do with jealousy, you also may be potentially giving somebody with a criminal past that you haven't determined, or a crazy woman, to be up in your house. All right. This happened to NFL players, right? The NFL players that had their house broken in. So, you never know who the woman is dealing with when you're not there, or when you're with your other women and you're just treating this casually, but you're giving them too much information. Oh, I need to pick up my curling iron. I need to pick up my, my panties. I need to pick up my shoes. And now you say, oh, stop by my house. The code to get into the house is X, Y, and Z. Tell the gate guy, blah, blah, blah. And they in the house robbing your wallet. All right. They in the house robbing your watches. All right. They got plenty of time. They know you're not coming back. You clearly in Cancun. So this is something that men have to watch out for in giving too much information out, especially when you're dealing with these people here. So it's a lose-lose situation for him, because he's giving information about him going to Cancun. Everybody knows when people travel, you're going to get some vagina. Okay, listen. You're going to get some vagina on the side. Women, same thing. When women travel, they go on the party, get drunk up under the table, and do some frisky activities. This is a no-brainer. I know people talk about them not doing this, but this is the intent, right, to be able to do this. So, yeah, this is the situation here. He's given up the info, the intel. She knows she's not going. She's not only jealous, she has a reason to respond to him negatively. And also, she's going to start seeing her other guy, and she can use that against him coming back. Okay, let's get back to this video. Lots of teaching points and vetting details here.
2008, 6 days before Travis was set to leave for Mexico, JODI would once more show up unannounced. All we know for sure is that they had sex and took explicit pictures of each other using Travis's new camera. At roughly 5 p.m., Travis would get in the shower, and JODI would begin taking pictures of him using the same camera. Then, moments after this picture was taken, JODI would stab Travis a total of 27 times. She would also cut his throat and shoot him in the face.
Well, all right. So she said, you're not taking me to Cancun. All right. And you're not going to Cancun either. So what did she do? She got up in the house and she led with the punani. All right. Here, I'm going to flood you with sex. We're going to be intimate. So yes, the Black Widow, the Black Widow. So she slit his throat, shot him in the face, stabbed him multiple times, took intimate pictures of him, which people didn't know beforehand, took intimate photos of him, and then deleted his ass. And now he dead. All right. All right. Just like that. Just like that. So it could happen all over lust. All right. And again, she kept showing up unannounced. He kept inviting her in. Okay. Because it was easy sex. He wasn't really into her like that. He wasn't into her like that. The sex must be good. He's like, hey, how come I can't turn this down? But the friends were like, yeah, she crazy, man. Yo, stop dealing with her. All right, don't bring her up into the crib. And he like, man, I can't turn it down. It's free and it's good. Free women cost the most. All right. And he was selling her a dream and leading her on. And I do believe that men and women do lead each other on. And this is something that for me, I'm cautious of this. All right. To not lead a woman on. All right. I know when you're younger, you want to lead them on and keep them going and try to promise them. But if I see nothing there, the situation's over. All right. I'm not going to try to lie to you and act like there's something more, and there's not. Now, I might say there could be something more, but I might find out a detail about you when I'm vetting you, and I might ghost you. So that's not leading you on to cut you off. But leading you on is to make you believe and sell you a dream that there's a possibility of something just to get the access. And that's a dangerous game the longer you play it. That's a dangerous game the longer you play it, because you're dealing with people's emotions and you don't know how they're going to react when they don't face that reality. Okay, so women do this as well. Men do this to women as well, or women do this to men as well, where they'll say, this is your vagina. Nobody else is hitting it. I don't talk to anyone else. You don't have to worry about him. And then all of a sudden, it's a lie. Right? You know what I mean? Like, it's a complete lie. And, I know people, women and men want to say, oh, you can trust. And why do you have that? And somebody must have hurt you. Yeah, man. Let me just tell you, never trust those things. All you have to do is by actions, people will expose who they are. I would never, women also will say they don't sleep with multiple men because their vagina is very sensitive and irritable. And yes, they're sleeping with multiple men right now. They might be sleeping with one raw, and then they don't want another person hitting it raw. Read between the lines. I can't sleep with multiple men raw. Okay. But the other guys are wearing condoms. But you get it raw. So you're the only one hitting it raw. Right? The rest of the guys are wearing Jimmy hats. But this is the things that people do to lead people on and why people get emotional. So you got to watch out about these things. Let's go ahead and pop this back up on the screen and play the video.
During the onslaught, Travis's camera took 2 accidental photographs. The first was taken as JODI dropped it during the onset of the attack. The second was taken as she kicked it by mistake while moving Travis's body. It showed JODI's foot and a fatally wounded or deceased Travis. The amount of time that passed from the 2 photographs was 62 seconds. JODI then spent an estimated 45 minutes cleaning down the crime scene to make sure none of her DNA was left behind. This included wiping down the victim's body with a cup of water and a cloth. She also deleted the pictures from Travis's camera before throwing it in the washing machine. She would then drive back out into the desert and leave Travis a voicemail for the purpose of placing herself away from the crime scene and giving herself an alibi.
I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction, over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that, only you weren't here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits, so fun. I'll tell you all about that later. Also, we were talking about, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused.
All right, listen, man, and you can see how calm she is doing this alibi. And let me just tell you, as a vetting principle, a woman will literally be telling you a lie and it will seem like truth. Men as well. All right. But in this case, it's JODI. And you'll be like, well, she said, but she literally she's just jumping right into the lie. She don't sound nervous. She sounds like she's been here before. She's saying it with complete confidence. She's throwing out details. I'm 100 miles away. I'm in New Mexico to 3 digits. My battery's going to die. I'm your May calendar. I'm confused about when you're going to be gone. I thought it was this week. So you could be dealing with someone that you're in a romantic relationship with, and they're completely lying to you. They'll tell you details and throw you onto the scent and lie about those details. Okay, right to your face. So you got to be careful when you're in these dating romantic relationships, no matter what style you're doing it, even when you're considering that the person you're with is the person you want to marry. It is very difficult to determine when a person is actually lying, because I've seen some very predatory, pathological liars. And when you see the truth, you're like, I can't believe they were willing to lie with a bold face like that. Now watch this detail coming up. Okay, watch this detail coming up, because this one's a big deal for you guys, and this is going to be a wake-up call for you. Play the video.
Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. Let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. End of message.
JODI would then drive to another man's house in Utah by the name of Ryan Burns and stayed the night. He would later testify that nothing seemed off about JODI's behavior, only that they kissed and engaged in sexual intercourse. Travis's body was...
Gentlemen, this is a hard pill to swallow. So she just fornicated with a guy, got nutted in. The guy she complains to, she's convinced that she loves. She gets nutted in. She kills him, drives 600 miles to Utah, and lets another guy nut in her. So let's just get this straight. This is why I want men to understand, and people in general to understand. And this is why it's difficult to believe when women say this is just your punani.
Stayed the night.
I only deal with one guy. I'm in love with you. It's hard for me to believe, because it's just so easy for this to occur.
He would later testify.
Right, it's just too easy. Okay, that's way too easy. And she just showed up and he smashed. And she was willing to let him smash. And this guy had been in the background the entire time. So not only was she in love with him, she also was in love with this guy as well. So she's claiming to be sprung on this guy in this completely different circle, 600 plus miles away. He's here. He's not. He don't know nothing. He probably has a whole girlfriend on his side. She shows up and she starts getting right on her knees. And he's like, well, come on through. All right. And he says, I didn't recognize anything. And she gives up the nookie right to this guy. Barely. I mean, we're talking about hours apart. And another man's dead. So this is how, for me, I don't trust women in the sense that they're only with one sexual partner at a time. I never will believe it. All right. I never will believe it, especially since I'm the new guy. When I'm the new guy, I certainly don't believe it. I'm like, please, you were just sitting out, holding out. I don't believe it. All right. And I'm just the one accessing you. I have no, and most of the time, my disbelief will be proven true. All I have to do is give it time, and something will come up. Or sometimes they'll say, well, I know you've been with other women. And then I'll be like, oh, are you saying you were been with other men the whole time? All right. So that will come up. And they're like, of course, I'm not going to get rid of my hoes if you still messing with other. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, okay. I get. Okay. But remember, you were saying when I was digging them guts out, you were saying this punani is yours. Oh, this punani is yours, daddy. Okay. So be careful. Even if a person does, if in this case, JODI gives it up intimately to you and you don't wear protection, doesn't mean she's not having unprotected sex with someone else. So this is a hard pill for people to swallow. Even those two people involved, he's looking at it like, dang, she just killed another man. Well, he doesn't know this now when he had intimacy with her, but he's going, man, she killed a whole other dude after he nutted, took naked pictures of him, slit his throat, shot him in the head, and then gave me some sex. Okay. So I always are in the belief, until proven otherwise, and it's difficult to prove otherwise, I'm of the belief that I'm not the only person accessing her vagina. All right. I'm not the only one like that, but I don't ever believe that I'm the only one, especially when I'm new, right? Or if I'm occasional, right? I'm somebody they see routinely every other week, every other month, right? On and off. Okay. I don't believe it at all. Or I'm new in the first part of the relationship. All right. I just showed up and then she's just become intimate with me. Certainly, I never believe I'm the only one. Okay, so, but most of the time when I have that belief, sometimes they get offended and they say, how could you not believe that? How come you can think I'm that type of woman? Give it time and they'll prove it. Okay. Okay. Give it time and you'll get the dirty details. So let's see how this ends, and then we'll get to the next part of the vetting.
testify that nothing seemed off about JODI's behavior, only that they kissed and engaged in sexual intercourse. Travis's body was discovered by Mimi and her friends 5 days later, the day before they were supposed to leave to Cancun together.
How long were you there trying to get into the house?
Just, a couple of minutes. I banged on the door, rang the doorbell over and over again. Nobody answered. I was scared that something might be happening to him because I knew that he had a stalker. Travis's friend on the phone suggested that we go in through the garage and look for him.
All right, so these are the details of how they found the body. We don't really want to talk about that particular situation there, so we're going to definitely fast forward. But I'm going to check if there's any contributions. This is the first time we're doing this, so if you do want to feel like you want to contribute to the show and make your voice heard, let me know. All right, just jump on over there and I'll say something about it. All right, shout out to Scheduled P says, I don't have cameras in my bedroom. This stream is making me reconsider adding them. Shout out to the coach gang. All right, and there's ways that some women like to be recorded, so you might want to do that. But, get you a nanny cam and also get you camera around your perimeter. Larry C says a little something for the collection plate. Appreciate you, Larry C. Thank you, man, for joining us during the evening show on the Coach Greg Adams channel. Someone also said, why are you doing it on this channel and not the other channel? As you can see, this channel was much larger. I'm looking to reactivate this channel by doing different content. All right, I'm in a different place in space. So this channel is going to get more crime and law type videos. All right, why put it on the other channel when it's typically still doing the same type of content? Sean John says, motherfucker going live in the evening. What? It's a cruel summer. Summertime is over. Shout out to Isaiah Nichols says, looking forward to this episode. All right. Who's never heard of these individuals? Who's never heard of JODI ARIAS? All right. Remember, this happened around 2012, 2013. So you do have a group of people that would have never heard of this person if they're 30 and below, age 30 and below. Glenn Beck Buchanan says, so glad to have you back in this week. I appreciate your great shows. And I also like the freshness of this content because I don't have to talk about the same thing over and over again. All right. We can give a fresh approach and I can do something that is, new as opposed to doing the same thing over and over again. All right. So it gives me a fresh approach and something to look forward to as well. Okay. So we do have some people that have never heard of this. All right. Case, which is interesting because cases that I know about, I'm pretty sure you've never heard of these cases, right? So it's going to be even eye-opening for you. Shout out to our brother J. Cool says, all men pay, this time with their lives. He says men are often too ego-driven to admit reality that all men pay. This is a hard thing. I still get comments from time to time where guys be like, but you had to pay. And I'm like, just delete it. If guys are still trying to make that argument in the debate, oh, you had to pay for an old, delete. All right, we're not going to let those comments just grow and fester because these men are struggling. All right, it is a classic case of understanding. 60% of men are struggling out here. Not many men are getting laid out here. Certainly, they're not getting relationships and marriages, and they're not winning out here. So much of it is jealousy, and they don't know what to do. All right, they don't have any answer. Certainly in the category of the quality of women that they're getting, they certainly ain't getting better than me, despite the fact that they may say so. So there's a lot of guys that just don't know how to deal with it. They don't want to accept it. It is what it is. All right. It is what it is. But, I just say, for me, I just delete the comments because it's just going to be a lot of men that want to keep that argument going over and over again. And there's no sense even having you guys respond to that comment where we just delete it off the page. All right. And it's not just because we don't want to have the conversation. Is the conversation's dead. It's a moot point. 60 to 80% of men are cooked sexually. All right. 33% of men ain't getting no punani. Men are out here wanting to do what? They're trying to get relationships and marriages. And these women they don't want nothing to do with the majority of men. So much of the time they come from faceless accounts and men that are just dissatisfied and frustrated. And they want to find a way to bring, you guys down with this conversation. So we just delete the comment, right? We just delete it because the conversation is over. We won that battle and we're winning the war. So here we go here. And if you see those comments, don't engage and let the incels and the MGTOWs and the, you know, the Red Pill Rangers. Let them continue to fight that battle. All right, but there's nothing to defend. There's nothing to defend. The conversation is over. We killed it. All right, so he said they're gonna take it out of society. Who gives a fuck? They're gonna get they're gonna be shot and arrested. All right, none of it. Nobody cares about. You just don't want to be at the grocery store. You just don't want to be at the grocery store when they crash out, because they'll take out 12. All right, you don't want to be at Planet Fitness when they crash out. This is why you do want to protect yourself as a man and start moving to exclusive territories and be in exclusive gyms. Don't be at Planet Fitness. Don't be at these low budget grocery stores where these recessed chin incels go crazy and crash out. All right. Yep. Get up early. Do your shopping early. Don't be out too late. Because them niggas will crash out in the middle of the afternoon.
Here's William.
All right, 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. No, don't be there, bro.
Here's William.
Right, because those men can't be helped, and I wish to rid these men of my particular space, because I can't help them anymore. And now they're just gonna turn on me because I moved on from them in terms of providing them with comfort content. Now I'm telling them to boss up. Now I'm the person. Right? You know what I mean? Now it's me and you gotta pay. You know what I mean? Fuck these guys at the end of the day. But I gave them enough content for comfort to make themselves be bosses, and they don't want to do it. All right. So anyway, let's get back to this particular episode here and not get too distracted by that. We have this video here from Inside Edition talking about that JODI ARIAS is a sociopath. All right, we'll listen to this video here, fair use to Inside Edition, but then we'll get to much part of the crime in the story here to break it down.
She's one of the most ruthless killers of our time. JODI ARIAS stabbed her ex-boyfriend, Travis Alexander, 27 times and then shot him in a bloody rampage. Now, as we near the 10th anniversary of the murder that made so many headlines, her former cellmate is speaking out, detailing for the first time JODI ARIAS' life behind bars.
She's a sociopath.
Tracy Brown was JODI's cellmate for 5 months, but has a permanent reminder of the killer. 6 tattoos, personally inked by JODI. One even has her name on it.
How does that make you feel to have her name on your ankle?
That was the biggest mistake I ever made. This is crushed up lead.
Tracy showed me how JODI used lead from a pencil, mascara, and a makeshift needle to tattoo other inmates. That's how JODI made extra money in jail.
This woman, the eyes don't lie, Chico. All right, the eyes don't lie. And again, crazy woman, crazy punani. All right, that's typically how it be right there. Crazy woman, crazy punani. So yeah, what we got now is this woman that's in jail. Now, take a look at the other woman that got 6 tattoos and 6 months in jail. She crazy too. And this is why it's important to vet, because we do think criminals look a certain way. We always think criminals look like monsters. In this case, she certainly looks like she's giving off red flags there. All right, but the other woman looked normal. Why was she in jail for 6 months? I actually had that happen to me. I had a young woman that I was dealing with that I knew from years ago, and then we reunited. I knew nothing about what her life had turned out to be. I know that she had some children and she had a marriage that ended in a divorce. So we kind of got together, and we weren't romantically involved when she, years ago, but we became romantically involved after that. Now, here's the deal. After a few times of being involved with her, she tells me she was in prison. And I was like, huh? Right? She was like, yeah, I was in prison for 2 years. Now, see, these are some of the cases where you don't know what to vet. The woman that I was dealing with, I had no clue that she was in prison. I had no clue. And it came up and I was like, what? What happened? And I got the story. I was able to get the real story and the case details, but I was like, what? Okay. And boy, was she a nasty woman. All right. That woman was nasty and freaky. But once I heard that detail, I was like, okay, that might be the end of the story. Our situation here, because I had no idea how you could end up in prison. I certainly didn't see that via her social media and this and that. So when you are dealing with women, sometimes even the nasties, they do have a past that, the sexual past is one thing, but sometimes they have crazier paths. all right, that involves criminal activity, cases. Okay. The more you date, the more you will realize that even the most normalist woman will have cases. Okay. I have dealt with women, at normie women and JUCO women. Once I'd done some vetting on them and I got their full first and last name, some of these women, not all of them, some of these women got cases, right? They got a crime record like Charles Manson. I pulled up one woman and she had a laundry list. I'm talking about, I was scrolling. All right. Traffic tickets, DUIs in multiple states, domestic violence, right? Like, wow, probations, no shows. She had cops busting down in state to state. One red flag in vetting is a woman that moves from state to state. We talked about instability. JODI ARIAS was moving state to state. All right. You seen her. We had her in California, Palm Desert, Palm Springs. We had her in Arizona. We had her in Utah. Okay. Once you see these people here and they live unstably and they move from state to state, this is going to be a red flag. You need to get details of this state to state move. Who you lived with? What happened? They'll tell you, I was with a boyfriend. We broke up. Then you'll tell them they had a crazy breakup. Go back and look up their record. Use my detective services. Yes. CGA's detective services. Okay. Where they're the domestic abuser. Okay. They're the person that was arrested for domestic violence. And you're going, wow, you never would have called that. They didn't tell you about that part, but they have a case for domestic violence. All right. And so they will tell you how horrible of a man Diddy was, but now you vetted them and they got a domestic violence jacket. Okay. So I've seen this. I've dated a long time. I've been here for 50 years. I've dated most, we talking about going on 35 years. I've been there and seen it enough. All right. So you do have to do your due diligence. I've seen the even most sweetest woman have a crime record. Now, just because you have a criminal record doesn't mean you're a bad person, but you do want to take that into consideration if you don't have a criminal record, right? And you're looking to get into a relationship. Now, once you're flooded with sex and intimacy, what'll happen is you're going to overlook these details and you'll say, well, you'll overlook it. Well, it was a this and it was a that. She's a changed person. She's a sweetheart. She doesn't seem like the type of person to do that. She's good. She's good to me now. In the last 4 or 5, 6 months we've been together, I've never seen any of these things come up as an issue. Okay, give it 2 years and you're going to see it. Give it 2 years and you're going to see it. These are flags that people ignore, especially when they're giving access to sex. All right, so jumping in here back into this video, as you can see here, we have 2 women. One looks crazy. The other one really doesn't.
In jail, along with selling her original artwork.
So talented.
Tracy has kept some of her hand-drawn pieces. The ex-cellmate says JODI flirted with correctional officers, which is how she was able to keep all of the prohibited equipment she needed for her tattoos.
There were a couple officers, she would flirt with and fly her hair with. And they would find the tattoo equipment, things you can get in trouble for.
All right, so she's obviously a succubi and definitely sucking off the COs and the correction officers and the POs and the whatever they got in there, man.
Leave it alone.
Thanks to the ex-cellmate, we're also learning more about the night JODI committed the murder. Tracy Brown says while she and JODI ARIAS were cellmates here at the Estrella jail in Phoenix, Arizona, JODI ARIAS actually confessed to murder, but claimed her ex-boyfriend was not the intended target.
She went there hoping to find this other woman and kill her. Because she took her place.
Before his murder, Travis Alexander had been dating Lisa Daydone while continuing to secretly have sex with ARIAS.
Okay, so here we go again. Unfortunately for men, this is a common thing that we think we're winning. All right, I got 2 girls and I got one. I'm sneaking behind her back. I'm smashing. You got your rotation. You're spinning plates. I mean, this is an extreme case, but in this case, you can't say that it didn't come back to haunt him. All right, it doesn't come back often, but this case came back to haunt him where he's got a steady girl and he's smashing her on the side. All right, he's working double time and his balls are empty. Pause. You got greedy. Yep, and then boom. But she's now here. Let's continue.
Tracy says Arias confessed during a quiet moment in their cell.
I'm just watching her, and she kind of goes down to her knees on the floor. And I was looking at her, I said, "What are you talking about?" And she started crying, just a couple of tears coming out of her eyes. And then it was done.
Tracy says Arias also admitted to stalking her ex-boyfriend in his backyard.
She said she would lie awake in bushes and watch him. And if she was ever caught, she would tell him she was there to get her social security card.
The ex-cellmate also claims that JODI Arias has a troubled relationship with her parents, even though they supported her during her trial and appeal.
We love our daughter, we support her, and we stand behind her.
Trouble relationship with parents, not always the best red flag, but it does give you some insight on what happened here. Trouble relationship. I believe she rebelled against them. All right. So when you have women that rebel against their parents, teenage women, young women in their 20s, they may hate their father or their mother. All right. This is going to be a red flag. All right. So it doesn't always mean that they're the victim or that that they deserve what they got in terms of treatment from their parents. It could be the parents that abused them. It could be that they rebelled against the parents and didn't want to be told anything, and they went off to set off onto a world of misguided and undecided decisions, and you are now a victim of that because you were getting free sex from them and you didn't cut it off. So the rebellion does happen. She rebelled and she never got her life stabilized. Sometimes you will find that when it comes to young women, they will rebel. Their life will never stabilize until their 30s. They'll still be like this at 30, 31, 32, 33, and still doing desperate things. Okay. And then all it needs is for you to show up, and then you're their safety net.
And that's you.
And then they're like, I got to have you. I can't lose you. Continuing.
She was so mean to her mom, coming all the way from California to Arizona. You know, it's a long trip, and there's at times she'll deny their visits because she wants to visit with a guy that she is manipulating.
The friendship between the two ex-cellmates continued for a time, even after Tracy's release. This is one of the many letters Arias wrote to her.
Tracy, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
I don't know if they was Lily Lint licking. All right, but that's another red flag. All right, Lily Lint lickers. All right, so Tracy ain't giving up the ghost here. They was Lily Lint licking in that cell. All right, because how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. There was some ooh, and oh faces going on in there. Okay, definitely some Lily Lint licking going on. So some carpet munching, some scissor sisters. All right, so there was something else going on here. Obvious red flag, bisexuality, or women that have been in jail in the pen in the system in the penal code, getting some Lily Lint lick going on. So there's a red flag there, obviously. And then when you're dealing with people that are in the system and they start writing you letters, you're going to start getting some letters written. All right. I do have a relative that is behind bars, and boy, can they put letters together. All right. They can type them out, you know, double space, indented paragraphs. They write in APA format. All right. You will get some well-written letters from people behind bars. All right. And these letters are, I mean, when you'll even see when they make a mistake, they use the little whiteout thing. All right. And they'll do the whole correction tape on that motherfucker. All right. That letter gonna be pristine. All right. And you know, it's some fantastic letters, and they can't be putting details in there for, you know, to spell out. So anyway, all right. And you see them letters, they be 8 pages typed out. Oh Lord. Hey man, they got time in there. They got time.
Yeah, I got time, cuz.
All right, they got time when they in the pen. So they got time to write some letters. So they gonna bring you some pristine fucking letters, all in the damn margin and all that. Look at this fucking, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to curse. All right, I'm doing a clean show over here. It's a family show. It's a legit family show. But look at this letter. It's all in cursive. Ain't nothing over the margin. Nothing. I don't know if they don't allow people to write in the margins. All right. What do they tell you in the pen? I have no idea. Look at these margins. This is clean. This is a clean written letter. No mistakes. How many drafts of letters do you write without making one mistake? I could not go this far without making a mistake, bro. I mean, this is the 8th draft. for sure. This is the 8th draft. All right, where's my brothers that been in the pen here? All right, let us know, bruh. Do they make y'all write this good? Do they make y'all type y'all ish out so these margins are this pristine? This is like the pristine bullet. I've never turned in a term paper this well written. All right, come on, bruh. Like they could get a whole job just writing letters. All right, anyway, a letter from the pen. Let's stop that part right there. And then let's show you this. We do have the video of her. We do have the video of her going through the interrogation. Okay, here we go right here. He said, we got all day behind bars. And I heard they watching YouTube behind bars too. All right. Hey, man. Hey, if you watching behind bars on YouTube, let me know, bro. All right. I actually want to know. I was been curious, dude. Do y'all be writing letters? Do y'all be watching me behind bars? Can y'all comment? Are y'all the incels that comment on my videos? All right. Anyway, where's my page here? Where am I going? All right. Hold on for a second. He said with cited sources, facts. Press 1 if you on the line right now. If you press 1 if it's a phone check in here. Phone check, nigga. You watching me like, coach, don't go over 3 hours. I ain't got time today. We got to hit the shower. We got to go to the commissary. All right. Anybody behind bars right now? All right, yo. Anyway. All right, this is another video I wanted to show y'all, but I'm pulled up the wrong video apparently. See, where's the video that I wanted to see? All right, I gotta go find it. Hold on for a second. We getting collect call niggies. All right, niggies making collect calls right now, watching me. All right. Anyway, I know some brothers watch me that were in the pen. All right, shout out to you brothers here, but I got the wrong video set up. So let me go ahead and get this right. Let me set this up here. I don't know if I can do this live. Okay, here we go. I got to pull this up because I don't know why I had the wrong video set up. Collect call, nigga. Collect views from YouTube. Oh, interesting. MTR did a video on the girl that had the false allegation today. Okay, I won't go there. All right. All right. It's just a quinky ding. I know. I don't know. It was in my suggestion video. Interesting. I mean, this happens all the time, it seems, but I don't check all the time, but interesting timing there. That video's been out for a week. That shit was out for a week. That story was out when I was in Colombia. I held on to that story for Goob when I was in Colombia. I did the show today in the video. He puts out a video. Okay, let me stop. Man, that's something so coincidental. I told you, man, people been waiting for me to jump on YouTube so they could get their channel revived again. What did y'all do without me on YouTube? What did content creators do before I takes a week off of YouTube? All right, anyway. Is that a coincidence? Damn, man, that is the weirdest coincidence. That is so weird. I just saw that. Go look it up. I just covered that story today. That story's been a week old. Like, that's not a breaking news story. That story was a week old. All right, when I covered it today. That's so weird. I don't know. Maybe his audience gives them the story. I have no idea how he gets stories. But that is completely weird. All right, anyway. But I see that happen all the time. There's another guy, JR, that does the same thing, like the same thing. I'm like, what? Nobody was talking about this shit. I bring a story up that was a week old, and all of a sudden, the next minute, somebody else puts the story out. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about this story right here. Let's get into this. Yeah, ninjas doing beats on YouTube. I mean, come on, man. All right, where are we at? Is this the video that I wanted to watch? Shit, this ain't even the right video. Okay, let's do the crime here. I guess this is the crime part. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's do the interrogation. All right, that's what I really want to see is the interrogation. So let's start right here. All right, here we go. For some reason, my original video is gone that I wanted to cover. All right, so here we go.
Perhaps to avoid recognition or to symbolize a return to her former self. On June 2nd, JODI rented a car in Redding, California, choosing a location 100 miles from her home to avoid drawing attention. Her actions became increasingly calculated. She removed the front license plate and inverted the rear one, making the car difficult to identify. JODI's preparations included purchasing 3 5-gallon gas containers filled to ensure she wouldn't need to stop for fuel, thus avoiding surveillance cameras and gas stations. She also turned off her cell phone to prevent her location from being tracked through cellular signals. These meticulously planned actions were all aimed at making her trip to Mesa, Arizona, where Travis lived, completely untraceable. The journey to Mesa took nearly 15 hours, a trip JODI undertook with chilling precision and forethought. She arrived at Travis's home at 4:30 a.m., stealthily entering through the garage after inputting the code into the security keypad, a sign of her intimate knowledge of his household and routines. Upon entering Travis's home unnoticed, JODI Arias found herself once again in close proximity to him. Despite the inappropriate nature of her arrival, Travis didn't turn her away. Instead, they spent considerable time together, engaging in sexual activities and photographing each other in intimate and vulnerable states. This period of apparent reconciliation was short-lived, however, culminating in a sudden and tragic turn of events. The day of the murder unfolded with a disturbing normalcy, as Travis and JODI shared moments that would soon precede a brutal act of violence. After taking photos in the shower, the situation escalated rapidly. Within minutes, the atmosphere shifted from one of intimacy to one of horror. Travis, caught off guard and vulnerable, was first struck with a knife by JODI.
Oh man. All right, hide the knives, gentlemen. All right, hide the knives. So she came over, dropped that punani off, and then said, it's time for you to go. Today's the day.
Here's William!
Today's the day. And you got to go.
Given Travis's physical advantage over JODI, it's believed that the initial knife attack was a critical blow, incapacitating him enough to prevent any effective defense. The violence intensified as JODI attacked Travis relentlessly, inflicting up to 30 stab wounds and a near decapitating slash across his neck. The brutal assault culminated with a gunshot to the head. A final
Now I got to cut you.
Yeah, there it is.
Act in what appeared to be a rage-fueled onslaught. After the murder, JODI dragged Travis's body back to the shower, attempting to wash away the evidence of her heinous act. In a vain effort to conceal the crime, JODI washed the bloody sheets and clothing, including the camera that held images of their final hours together. A bloody palm print on the wall, mingling her DNA with Travis's, stood as a silent witness to the events, linking her irrevocably to the crime scene. This evidence would later become a crucial part of the case against her, as it illustrated the violent and premeditated nature of her actions. After the murder, JODI Arias meticulously continued to construct her alibi, embarking on a drive to Utah to visit a former coworker. Her journey took a brief detour when a police officer stopped her for having an upside-down rear license plate, a result of her earlier attempt to make her vehicle less identifiable. She explained the way the oddity is a prank, and when asked about the stain on her hands, she responded by saying it was a result of injuries from gardening mishaps.
Man, I tell you again, the lies. I mean, I can't with the lies, right? The lies. I mean, you know, just because they tell you something and you should believe me, you should trust me. I'm of the opinion, especially as you get older, over 30, don't believe them. Do your own due diligence. Don't just assume, oh, she seems like a sweetheart. She seems like a good woman. She seems like don't believe it. I mean, in this case, she just slit a man's throat and shot him in the head. Oh, I had a gardening incident. All right, man, this is bad.
Narrowly avoiding suspicion. Upon returning the rental car, having accumulated nearly 3,000 miles on it, JODI's elaborate plan to distance herself from the crime seemed momentarily secure. Meanwhile, Travis's absence had begun to alarm his friends, especially Mimi Hall, who was puzzled by his uncharacteristic silence, knowing they had plans to travel to Mexico together. This concern led Mimi and a group of Travis's friends to make a grim discovery in his home on June 9th. Behind the locked bedroom door, they found Travis's mutilated body, a sight that shocked and horrified them. Travis's friends instantly made a call to the police to report his frantic death.
Look at that.
A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while.
By the way, 2008 is when this happened there. 2008. So that is quite old for a lot of people here.
We think he's dead.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has. He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him and following him and slashing tires and things like that.
And do you know the ex-girlfriend's name?
Her name is Jodi.
With immediate suspicion cast upon Jodi, known to have harassed Travis after their breakup. The discovery of Travis's body and the subsequent notification to his friends and family sent shockwaves through their community. Daniel, one of Jodi's close friends in Arizona, decided to call Jodi to inform her of Travis's death. Jodi's reaction was of distress and disbelief, though her mourning was seen through a lens of suspicion by those aware of her tumultuous relationship with Travis.
Now, if you look at this and you take a look at what's going on here, they got a lot of pictures of them going and doing things together, right? So, but you can see his body language, leaning away quite often. I don't know if that's how he take pictures. He's not leaning in. All right. Look at the lean, no lean. All right. You know, these incels love shit like this, but this is true. Body language doesn't lie. As the closer she gets to him, the more he leans away. He's not that into her, but he is leading her on, meaning that this is probably about the sixth thing that I've seen, separate background, different clothes. So they're going on outings together. He's leading her on. No, we're not blaming the victim, but he's playing this a little bit, not the best way. So he's leading her on, and she crazy. So that's a bad combination. And he hitting that bottom raw.
Jodi's decision to attend Travis's memorial service, despite the growing suspicions against her, stunned those in attendance. Her boldness in introducing herself to Mimi and mingling among Travis's grieving loved ones raised eyebrows and fueled whispers about her possible involvement in his death.
All right, you definitely crazy to go into the funeral after you delete someone. Ask OJ, allegedly.
This action, coupled with her known history with Travis, placed her firmly at the center of the investigation and speculation.
And somebody said he was a rich guy. He came from a Mormon family, very established. He even converted to, or she even, I believe, got baptized into Mormonism. Okay, so, that's crazy. You willing to change religions? So she was desperate for this type of relationship. Now, again, I want to reiterate, and this will become some of the final points. Even though this woman was so willing to be the number one for him, it still turns out that she was having intercourse with other men during this time. Now, this is where I really gotta drive home the point. Just because a woman's sweet on you, or a man for that matter, doesn't mean they're not giving it up to someone else. This woman literally did it and then smashed somebody else within the same record time. This could be situations even when women become victims of assault sexually. They can become a victim of a sexual assault and then have sex with someone right after that. Okay, where you will have multiple DNAs, even ask Kobe. So, yeah, she's obsessed with the guy. She's stalking the guy, but then she runs right to someone else and has intimacy, maybe to cover her tracks and whatnot. So, I mean, you know, you guys will think, man, this girl sprung on me. I'm the man and these girls want me. Don't be too full of yourself. Stop drinking your own bathwater. That doesn't mean she's only being intimate with you at all. Right? At all. So these are all things that you have to even look out for. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked at the amount of women, how quickly they can be intimate with someone, especially when you're the new guy. When you're the new guy, trust me, this woman have been intimate with people in between you and during you and so forth and so on. We live in a world where normies tend to not believe this. Oh, this can't be true. All right, but don't believe it, man. Don't believe you're the only one hitting them guts. Don't believe the only one you hitting it raw. Don't believe you're the only one accessing that and so forth and so on. Okay, so, and don't believe her. I just can't be with multiple guys. All right, they'll say anything. Anyway, enough about this story. She did get life in prison. All right, you guys heard that. But this is a cautionary tale to always vet. I actually had a situation where this, again, young woman, she was in her mid-20s, dealt with her sweetheart, bro. Had the whole feminine voice, long hair. She seemed somewhat of a dingbat. But she even got a situation where she was what do you call it? She was an accomplice in a murder. like what? How does that happen? Right here. How does that happen where she ended up being in the situation where, and I was completely in the blue, right? I mean, in the dark, I had no idea, nor did I care. See, here's the other part. I didn't even care about her that way because in this situation with Travis, he didn't care about JODI. He didn't care who she was smashing. He just was trying to get access to the vagina, right? So he had, when you're doing that type of hookup, you really don't care. All right, even when she dropped some hints, you're like, yeah, jump in the bed. And when they jump in the bed, you don't realize that they have ulterior motives, right? Where they're either sometimes trying to get pregnant on you. They're trying to get pregnant so they can avoid jail time. Look this up, man. Look this up. This actually happened with that one woman, Elizabeth Holmes, where she was the woman that's supposed to be the next Steve Jobs, and she ended up getting into another relationship during her trial, ended up pregnant so that she can avoid trying to go to jail. And she ends up pregnant. This happened to several women. Women have used that tactic where they get a new boyfriend, they end up pregnant, and they'll be like, oh, I can't go to jail, I'm pregnant. Somebody said diversion sex. Yeah, it is phenomenal where I'm always telling you when you get your ego involved with women, you will realize that they got ulterior motives. Quick story about the woman that I ended up being an accessory to a deletion. I was dealing with her, just intimately hooking up. And then what happened was I moved and then she wanted to continue the relationship. She started saying she was in love with me. And I was like, what? We were just hooking up, man. And she ended up saying, well, I thought it was more and I thought we could be more and this type of thing. I was like, what? This is weird. And I was like, well, you can come visit me and this and that. And she said, well, I can't come visit you. Why? That's when I learned the details. And I was with her off and on for about a year. Again, sometimes when you're hooking up, you're not asking details, you're not vetting. This is why you do have to vet, even if it's a hookup, even if it's a JUCO, even if it's a random, even it's, you gotta. So then she told me what happened. She was with some pookie, right? They had an apartment he sold drugs out of. Eventually what happened was because he sold drugs out of the apartment, I believe he got arrested. Because he got arrested, the vulture started to come out knowing he had the stash spot. She lived in the stash spot. So people would come by in the stash spot. Apparently, one person died, which I don't know how he died. I don't get the story. Remember, I'm only talking to her once. I'm getting the details. I'm shocked. I'm like, God damn, this is too much. She says the person died. I don't know if she killed him. I don't know if he died of an overdose. I don't know if somebody shot him. As a result, she did not call 911 immediately. For reasons obvious. She don't want to snitch. She don't want to reveal the stash spot. Now, this woman would come to my house all clean, pristine, hair all curl, all of this shit. But she's living there. This is her previous relationship before me, or we don't know. It could have been during me. The person dies. She doesn't call 911. She lets the body stay there for a couple of days. So as a result, she's charged with accessory to the crime. You know, she's, you know, whatever charges they may put up. I actually might be able to look it up. All right, because she didn't report the death. And I don't know if she stayed there the entire time or whatnot, but that's eventually. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You're going on a date with this person. You don't realize you're part of an investigation. They're putting your notes. Okay, who is this dude? How is he connected? Now they see me rolling around in a G-Wagon. Now I'm the kingpin. Now they're looking up my, they're pulling my file. So you don't know what these people got going on in the background. All you thinking is the free punani. Then all of a sudden you getting details. You're like, wait, hold on. Have I been tracked? Have they been seeing you come and go from my house? So you got to do your due diligence with these people. All right. I've been around for a long time where you say, now I'm going on with a date and they over there, the private investigator looking at me. Now I'm on the case. All right. Now they put me. Now she put everything on me. It was him. He the kingpin. All right. Trying to save her Pookie boyfriend and then getting pregnant on me. Right now all of a sudden she like, just go ahead and nut in me, daddy. Now she pregnant with my baby. So you go like, wait a minute. Right? So you got to understand, somebody said put her on the lady heroin. Yep. Lady heroin. So just like that. All right. All you thinking about is free punani or punani access. And all of a sudden, boom. So you got to do your due diligence when you're dealing with women, man. It is amazing, especially what young women get themselves into. Young women get themselves into all kind of goofy shit, and especially when they deal with pookies. Guys, pookies aren't just broke guys that live on air mattresses. These guys have access to gangs and drugs and all of these things, right? So that's the natural attraction to them. They're hustlers and scammers. All of a sudden, you know, she's dating you and she's getting copies of your credit card when you're in the shower and sending them to Pookie. Okay, because Pookie's a scammer. Now you getting all kind of hits on your credit report and your credit karma because that's where their loyalties are. But they will use it, but you got to vet. All right, you got to vet. Anyway, let me check the super chats before we get up out of here. All right, shout out to Mike. He says here's a little donation because Coach don't work for free. All right, appreciate y'all for doing this, and this is a fun episode. I'm going to do more fun stuff like that. Kevin G says, appreciate you, Coach, for the nighttime episode. Salute to the Coach gang. And if you're a man, shout out to Kevin G. If you're a man and you're dealing with multiple women and you got high body count, you're certainly going to be exposed to this. All right, you're going to be exposed to this type of these questionable people. Okay. Okay. Let me see here. But you're going to be exposed to questionable people. All right. If you don't have high body count, you know, any guy talking about they got 100, 250, 75, 250, 300, you're going to deal with questionable people. There's only so many good people you're going to be exposed to. You're never going to just be exposed to the good people in life. You're going to be exposed to crazies, insanes, cuckoo people, weirdos, off the chart, people that have been in psycho wards, mental health issues. There's only so many good people out here. Okay, shout out to Cosmosis says, just contributing to Coach's season 8, boss up. He says, thanks for letting us binge watch the Free Agent Lifestyle live every day. Let the mighty morphing Mitch Pill Rangers continue to crash out. We bossing up over here. All right, and I love they try to change the definition of bossing up. Well, is bossing up is tricking? Okay, that's what we doing, nigga. All right, and that's a co-sponsorship.
I'm rich, bitch.
Continue to be pussyless if you want. All right, hit the subscribe button if you on this channel, and some of y'all didn't know this channel. Subscribe to it because we lose subscribers on a daily basis over here because this channel been dead on arrival. No government name BH. Thank you for the contribution. The dictator says for all the collection call niggies. All right, call and collect. Shout out to Jerome M says great show. Excited to have the evening show back. Yeah, man. Shout out to Joshua Moon says niggas can't get peace leave. Oh, well. Hey, man, those sympathetic days are gone. These women just want the top 20% of men, and it sucks. Those days are gone, nigga. You be the top 20% of man or just sit the fuck on the sideline. All right, that's all I got to tell y'all. It is what it is. All right, ain't nobody sympathizing for none of you goofy-ass men today. All right. It is what it is. Sit on the sideline, nigga. Sit over there with your bird chest and your hairy chest, your taco meat on your chest. Sit over there with that big ass Adam's apple and that recessed chin and that goofy haircut. Sit over there, bro. Ain't nobody feeling sorry for you, motherfucker. Let me stop cursing today. Ain't nobody feeling sorry for y'all. All right. Fix your situation or just sit down and shut up. Trick ass millionaires and you got a trick to get it. You got to buy. Nobody cares, bro. Velcro wallet having ass nigga. Velcro shoes having ass. Nobody cares, bro. Go pity party of one. Go get a fly in your suit with Grover. Nobody cares, fam. Obviously, it's been 10 years, 12 years. Y'all been listening to this. Nobody cares. So move on with life with your damn incel chart and your little chart, your hypergamy chart. All right. Nobody cares about running game. Everything is pay for play at this particular point. You either have money, you broke, just say that. All right. Nobody cares, bro. All right. Nobody cares about that ish going into 2025. Grow up. All right. Anyway, shout out to the Coach Gang, Boss Up 2025. Let's go get it. Thanks. Peace.